Hello humans. It's only a couple of weeks now until the official release of Maleficent, which is something that I know I'm pretty excited about. So in honor of that, I have decided to bring you a video of my top 7 Disney villains. I had no idea how hard it was to make these lists. I started out thinking I was gonna have a top 5, then it became top 7, then it was a top 11, then a top 10, top 9, back to top 7. Don't expect them to be ranked. I didn't want to get into ranking them after it was so difficult just to work out who was on the list. Let the listing begin.
I'm not getting any younger down here.
Mother Gothel, Tangled. This is a woman so frightened of aging and so obsessed with her own youth that she kidnaps a baby. She then raises that baby in a tower and convinces her never ever to leave.
The outside world is a dangerous place, filled with horrible, selfish people. You must stay here, where you're safe. Do you understand, Flower?
It's an entirely abusive relationship.
Now look what you've done, Rapunzel.
She makes Rapunzel feel afraid of leaving the tower and of leaving her, and feel guilty whenever she has her own opinions or thoughts or wishes.
Oh, Rapunzel, you know I hate leaving you after a fight, especially when I've done absolutely nothing wrong.
Let's not forget that one line that had me momentarily convinced that Mother Gothel was in fact GLaDOS.
I just listened for the sound of complete and utter betrayal and followed that.
But that extra spark of villainy that gets Mother Gothel a place on this list is the fact that whenever she says something comforting or loving or defensive of Rapunzel, you can see that she's actually saying it to Rapunzel's hair.
I love you most.
And that's just creepy.
Oh, great. Now I'm the bad guy.
Judge Claude Frollo. I mean, for starters, like, wow, attempted genocide.
For 20 years, I have been taking care of the gypsies, one by one.
You make your point quite vividly, sir.
But it's how casual he is about it all. The first thing you see him do in a movie is kill a woman and then pick up her baby and decide to chuck it down a well, because not only is it Roma, but it's also really hella ugly. And he thinks nothing of this.
I'm sending it back to hell.
The only reason that he stops is because the Archdeacon forces him into having a paranoid episode and thinking all the statues of saints are staring him down. He also has a super abusive relationship with Quasimodo.
Eh? Abomination.
And then he does try to set everyone and everything on fire just because a woman made him hot and then didn't want to get with him. But what gives him that extra sparkle of villainy and puts him on this list for me is that he knows logically that what he's doing is wrong, but works so hard to justify it and make it seem righteous. Why else would he be asking for forgiveness in Hellfire if he thought that he was doing the right thing?
God have mercy on me.
No, he knows that he's doing wrong, and he does it anyway.
Madame Medusa's pawn shop boutique.
Madame Medusa from The Rescuers. The woman kidnaps an orphan child and then takes her to a swamp in the middle of nowhere and threatens her with crocodiles in order to force the girl to find a diamond for her in a blowhole.
The worm's coming in. Please pull me up.
Not until you get the diamond.
She very deliberately takes advantage of Penny's disadvantage. She knows that the girl's an orphan and that no one's really going to miss her, and that's exactly why she targeted Penny. And that extra sparkle of evil that puts her on the list? She's putting this girl physically and mentally into a horribly dangerous and traumatic situation. And watching this movie as an adult, you just know that if something went wrong and Penny was killed, Madame Medusa wouldn't hesitate to go off and find another disadvantaged kid to use.
She's insane. Utterly mad.
Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. So Gaston begins as just another dumb, douchey jock of a guy.
It's not right for a woman to read. Soon she starts getting ideas and thinking.
He likes a girl and assumes that that means that she should like him back. And when she doesn't, her rejection of him sets off one of the most terrifying chain reactions I think I've seen in a Disney film.
I'll have Belle for my wife. Make no mistake about that.
He's both capable and happy to imprison Maurice in a mental asylum despite the fact that he knows he doesn't belong there.
So you want me to throw her father into the asylum unless she agrees to marry you?
He incites an angry mob to march on a castle
I say we kill the beast!
because he's willing to do whatever it takes until either Belle decides to be with him or he's avenged his humiliation against her. And that's what gives Gaston his extra sparkle of villainy. Something that should have been so small and insignificant seemed to him enough reason to destroy lives.
Here comes the adventure now!
Charles Muntz from Up. He's completely, unpredictably insane, and that makes him terrifying. Muntz has been isolated for so long looking for this bird that he has completely lost his mind. He greets our heroes quite happily.
You sure we're not a bother? I'd hate to impose.
No, it's a pleasure to have guests. A real treat.
But then, at a moment's notice, he decides to indulge his paranoia and assumes that the pair are there to steal the credit for the discovery of the Bird of Paradise Falls. The fact that they are hiding the bird is irrelevant. Muntz has done this before.
A surveyor making a map. A botanist cataloging plants.
He thinks that everyone is out there to steal his bird. Muntz thinks this is a justification for murder. But the thing that gives Charles Muntz his extra sparkle of villainy is that he started out as one of the good guys. He was a decent man who was called a fraud for something that he knew to be true. He was the good guy who inspired the movie's hero to be a good guy. But by the time he appears in the film, he's completely crazy.
Adventure is out there!
Scar from The Lion King. He killed Mufasa and traumatized most of us as children.
Long live the king.
He convinces Simba that Mufasa's death was his fault, and that all of Simba's family and friends have turned on him and don't want him anymore.
But the king is dead. If it weren't for you, he'd still be alive.
And then tries to have him murdered.
Runaways. Run away. Never return. Kill him.
But the extra sparkle of villainy that landed him on my list once and for all was when I realized that Scar's actually pretty petty in his motivations. Scar doesn't really care all that much about being king of the Pride Lands. His main motivation is just to get one up on his brother. And once he's succeeded in killing his brother, he doesn't really care anymore.
It's the lioness's job to do the hunting.
The kingdom is ultimately meaningless. He would let an entire ecosystem die just because he wanted to hurt his brother.
Life's not fair.
Jafar from Aladdin. Jafar is every classic, cliched piece of villain put together in the one person. He manipulates, sometimes through words, sometimes through actual mind control. He's a sleazebag.
I wish for Princess Jasmine to fall desperately in love with me.
And a murderer, or attempted murderer at least. He's a liar and a cheat. He's completely power hungry.
I wish to rule on high as Sultan. I wish to be the most powerful sorcerer in the world. I wish to be an all-powerful genie.
And he's even an actual vizier. An actual royal vizier. If that doesn't signify classic villain cliche, then I don't know what does. That extra sparkle of villainy that impressed me enough to put Jafar on my list is that instead of having a villain song of his very own, Jafar takes the song that made Aladdin a hero and a prince, and he made it into a song that mocked Aladdin and tore him down.
Say hello to your precious Prince Ali.
He told Aladdin that he was nothing using his own song, and then sent him flying to the edge of the world to die. That is pretty villainous. Let me know in the comments who you would put on your list of top Disney villains. Please do remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for weekly videos. That is it. I am done, and I will see you guys some other time.